Row, fight the power. This is it, everybody. The final, at the time of this video at least, the final mainline Kirby game in the series, Planet Robobot. Now what's interesting is that this game sort of came out of nowhere. It was announced randomly at a Nintendo Direct, and then within 3 months, it was released worldwide. 3 months! There's your interesting development history, I guess. Now initially, this was set to be a direct sequel to Triple Deluxe, with the likes of Hypernova and a bunch of other mechanics returning. But then, I'm just wagering a guess here, one of the main developers watched Gurren Lagann, an anime where people inside of gigantic robots do extraordinary things, and thought to himself, you know what Kirby's been missing all this time? A giant mech that looks like him. I don't think anybody in the entire universe had that thought before then, but whoever that developer is, he is a better person because of it. Oh, and yes, I totally own a Planet Robobot official display. Don't act surprised. The story this time takes us back to a peaceful day on Popstar. Spoilers, not so peaceful. Out of nowhere, a huge spaceship filled with robotic invaders connects itself to the planet, and to retaliate, King Dedede and crew, as well as Meta Knight, try to fight back as best as they could, but ultimately, they fail. Kirby, unsurprisingly, really, slept through the entire thing, and upon waking up, he immediately goes out to find out just what's going on. He is somehow both unreliable and completely reliable, all at the same time. It's weird. And that's really all the plot that you're given at the start. What's interesting though is that it isn't until World 3 where you start getting just a bit more story development. It's here where you meet Susie, the secretary of Haltman Works Company, the group responsible for invading Popstar. Clearly having a vendetta against organic life forms, she turns Meta Knight into a robot named Mecha Knight. It's real cute, and even made evil clones of Dedede. Now there is actually quite a bit more story, but I'll get to that later. It's just odd that the game kicks off in no time flat, then the story comes at you randomly after thinking that you're just gonna beat up some robots for a few worlds and then credits. And yes, Dedede still has weird eyes. I'm sorry, I know it still doesn't matter, but it still weirds me out. And now, don't act too surprised here, the game basically plays identical to the 2 games prior. Just shocking. You see, many people consider these 3 games to be a trilogy. Well, for now at least, until a 4th game potentially comes out. Not for some overarching story, of course, they never explain what happens to his eyes, but because they are all based on the same gameplay engine. Once again, run, jump, and float your way to victory. This time, the main collectibles are the code cubes, which are basically the same as the Sunstones, and the extra collectibles come in the form of stickers, each with a special Kirby illustration, and 1 rare sticker in each stage. Basically the same as the keychains. I think the stickers are way worse though. I don't know, just comparing them to the keychains, it's a lot less interesting getting flat images of artwork over 3-dimensional sprites. Some of them aren't even Kirby designs, and I gotta tell ya, it really isn't that exciting getting access to the almighty number 2. Number 0 though, that's when things get crazy. As for the main gimmick though, that is where things get awesome. Say hello to the Robobot Armor. This huge hunk of metal makes Kirby a force to be reckoned with, being able to now mow down everything in your path with the simple push of a button. And while the gimmicks before with the super abilities and Hypernova were additions that modified like one section of a level and you moved on, so much of this game is based around the Robobot Armor that it is so much more than that. And it's thanks to being able to use abilities in combination with the armor, almost harkening back to the Animal Buddies of the Dreamland games. And sure, each ability can destroy stuff in similar ways, not really unlike the super abilities, but the Robobot, quite simply, is far more enjoyable to use, because it also has the added variety element of the Hypernova, with each ability having a handful of different uses throughout the adventure. There's a couple special uses as well, with Wheel turning the armor into a super fast and agile race car, and with the returning Jet turning the armor into a plane for shooting sections. And the music for these parts, is so good. You can also take those stickers that you collect and actually place them on its arms. cool. And since the Robobot gets so much use, there's a lot less of playing as Kirby proper than I initially thought that there would be. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter that much since it is fun all the same, and it also solves that dreaded issue of feeling like the game is just more of the same. But also, it is pretty obvious that this is where the Gurren Lagann influence comes into play. I mean, someone inside of a face-shaped robot causing havoc and saving the day. And sure, you could also argue that this is similar to the Ride Armor from Mega Man X as well, but come on, if the developers didn't watch this anime, I would be astounded. It's actually a pretty good one too, just throwing that out there. But no worries, you still play as Kirby without the armor a ton, and of course, the abilities are where Kirby shines. Classics like Needle and Wing got cut, as well as the newer ones like Spear, Bell, and Beetle. Circus is still there though, much to my dismay. As for the new ones, well, conjure up deadly medicine and take out foes with pills, and even a clipboard with Doctor. But more importantly, look at this. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. Harness a ton of psychic energy as if you're from Onett with ESP. And leave damaging goo in every possible direction, or take a joyride on it, why not, with poison. Once again, a good lineup of new abilities. Kinda like Circus, Doctor is a bit odd to use since his moveset is quite varied, but I am way more willing to forgive this one because again, look at this! As for some returning abilities, you see, I didn't really make that big of a deal about the likes of Wing or Ninja returning because, hey, they're cool and they fit in with the rest. However, not only did Jet return, but so does Mirror. And Mirror is like one of the best abilities ever, so I am more than happy to see this one show up again. But on top of that, Smash makes a return as well, and even UFO. However, these are mainly just bonus abilities that rarely have any opportunity to be used, UFO being relegated as a 100% completion reward. However, thanks to Amiibo! Think I got that. You can actually access these on the fly. Most Amiibo correlate to a power that fits the character used, which is cute, I guess, and using the Kirby line of Amiibo result in either UFO, which is nice, or pre-existing abilities just with an alternate look. So yeah, the Amiibo functionality in this game is pretty useless. Didn't stop me from buying all of them, of course, including the Japanese exclusive diorama. As I mentioned before, Planet Robobot is more of the same in the sense of Kirby playing like Triple Deluxe, but thanks to the Robobot Armor, the game feels a lot more fresh than rehashed. Level designs and unique ideas are probably some of the best the series has ever seen, and thematically is where the game really shines. The entire game, from its worlds, enemies, and bosses, have a new mechanical theme to it. And it acts as a great opposite of Triple Deluxe, since that adventure had a much more natural feel to it. This means there's new stuff as simple as returning enemies having a bit of metal on them, to the new Wispy Woods being completely made out of metal, named Clanky Woods. Again, keeping the wood spirit alive, I like that. And most importantly, completely new level themes. You explore the insides of moving trains, bustling cities with Waddle Dees driving cars, and keeping mind of the stoplight. Oh my god, that is adorable! A giant ice cream factory, a desert with power lines being held up by forks. It's so good! Each world about halfway through also has a laboratory stage, which is neat, basically giving you the chance to take down the Haltman Works enemies at each of their bases. The soundtrack fits the mechanical theme too, with many of the songs sounding like super high quality chiptunes, fitting the game beautifully. One of them straight up uses dubstep, and it's actually kind of awesome. A ton of the tracks are actually remixes too, and it is really cool hearing these songs in a new way. And while the previous games had a bit of fan service here and there, this time they dialed that up tenfold. Naturally, Factory Inspection, one of the best songs from Kirby 64, got a remix, as did Dark Castle from Dreamland 2, randomly, which is amazing. World 2's boss is basically Pix from 64, who summons holograms of older bosses, including the Ice Dragon from Dreamland 2, because hey, why not? And boy, you can only imagine my surprise getting here and seeing Kabula show up out of nowhere with the remix of Dreamland 1's boss theme. It's so good! As a longtime Kirby fan, this stuff just gives me pure unbridled joy, and it made what was already a great game pretty excellent. And of course, there is more to do outside of the main adventure once again, with 2 brand new subgames. First up is Team Kirby Clash, essentially an action RPG where 4 Kirbys of varying classes, aka modified abilities, battle against powerful bosses, resulting in gaining experience points and leveling up. It's actually pretty odd in concept, but it's fun all the same, and actually, a Kirby RPG doesn't sound like the worst idea. Hal, come on, get on that. And in Kirby 3D Rumble, you control the pink puffball in a 3D space with the goal of defeating all of the enemies as fast as possible and with as many defeated in a row as possible. And this one is pretty fun as well, and it looks a whole lot like that one cancelled game from Return's development, which is pretty neat. And also, the bosses in this mode are Mashers, who showed up in Dreamland 2, and that's it. All of this out of nowhere Dreamland 2 appreciation, I love it. Unfortunately though, this mode is really short, only 3 levels. And in fact, neither of these games got eShop versions, which is odd. I really wanted more of these, but sadly they're both pretty short-lived. The arena is back as well, of course, as is the true arena with harder forms of the existing bosses. You're used to that at this point, except now, it is absolutely brutal. I gotta just say that, it's probably like the hardest true arena the series has seen yet. And as for the extra adventure, welcome back the returning Meta Nightmare. It's been a while since we could play as Meta Knight, but man, it is so good to be back. Like DDD Tour before it, this is a truncated form of the main adventure with the always sword-wielding Meta Knight instead, who is so powerful, he don't need no stinking Robobot Armor. He can destroy damn near anything just with his blade. His special moves from Superstar return as well. By collecting these blue orbs, you can activate simple power-ups like speed up or health recovery, or deal a massive blow to your enemies with the help of some of your allies. And as for fan service, oh boy! After defeating a major boss near the end of the game, this machine randomly summons a clone of Dark Matter from Dreamland 2, with the accompanying music as well. Oh, okay, that's awesome. And then there's a clone of Queen Sectonia, who upon defeat, briefly transforms into a being resembling Tyranza, furthering that sad backstory of her once being friends with him. And naturally, things end off with Galacta Knight, because of course it does! Meta Knight vs Galacta Knight is like one of the coolest battles the series has ever come up with, so of course it was going to happen again. And it's not even like the fight is radically different than the 2 battles before, but it's still really cool. The fight ends with Galacta Knight being sealed once again. Not that it matters, because you know this is going to happen again, and I cannot wait for it to happen again. Oh man, I can't handle this, it's too much. It is far too much fan service in such a short amount of time. Now, I'm sure an argument can be made over pure enjoyment value over obvious pandering to longtime fans. Dark Matter shows up, that is obvious pandering to longtime fans. Well, you know what, I don't care about that argument. The end of Meta Nightmare is awesome regardless. But okay, I think I've been fanboying for long enough. Let's wrap up the main adventure. After dealing with Susie's evil forces, as well as Susie herself, Kirby finds his way to the central hub of Haltman Works Company, Access Arc. And after another fight with Mecha Knight, which actually ends by seeing Meta Knight's eyes for the first time in 3D, pretty neat I think, President Haltman finally reveals himself. And apparently his full name is actually Max Prophet Haltman. That's amazing. He dismisses Susie for disappointing him, and then reveals his plan. Turns out that Haltman has been studying advanced technologies of the world to reactivate a wish-granting computer, Stardream, and he will not let Kirby stop him. And donning a mech of his very own, they battle. And of course, he loses. I mean, come on, you can't beat the pink puffball, no matter how hard you try. Haltman then tries to control Stardream himself with a special helmet. However, Susie comes out of nowhere, taking the helmet off of him, revealing her plan of selling Stardream for a high profit. Okay. That kinda came out of nowhere. However, something weird happens. Stardream manages to possess Haltman, and it reveals, because everyone's revealing something right now, that through all of the studying, it finds that all organic life forms are a nuisance, and now intends on wiping all of them in the universe. Which, damn, okay, that's quite a jump from I want to cover Popstar in a plant. Realizing the error in her ways, she calls upon a Robobot Armor and asks Kirby to stop Stardream. Not really sure how we're gonna stop it. I mean, Stardream flew off into space. Oh, okay, I see what we're doing. Meta Knight with the halberd, I get it. Whoa, what? Whoa, wait. What? This leads to a fight in space between Stardream and Robobot Halberd. And yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's very different than a typical Kirby final boss, this being a behind-the-back shooter. But hey, with basically half the game being about the Robobot Armor anyway, I would expect nothing less. And of course the music is amazing, like I can't even joke about that anymore. Excellent final boss music is just a given in the series at this point. Once defeated, Stardream combines with the Access Arc, which I swear is just more Gurren Lagann stuff, and we are on to the next phase. It's a pretty similar fight, a lot of stuff being thrown at you as you hold the shoot button the entire time. But throughout the fight, you knock parts of the shell away to reveal that Access Arc is actually Nova from Superstar? Actually, Kirby lore states that planet Halcandra crafted multiple clockwork stars that sour the cosmos, implying that this is simply another Nova and not the same one. I mean, you wouldn't really think it, but Kirby actually has some deep lore. That's okay. After one more final shoot fest, not Nova manages to get one last blow in on the halberd, shooting it down. Thankfully though, Meta Knight quickly jumps on top of the ship to shoot the Robobot Armor out as Kirby forms a drill out of its hand, which is just more Gurren Lagann, and proceeds to drill through its last defenses as he drills its head in, destroying it for good. And let me tell you, this segment only lasts about 20 seconds, but it is a damn epic 20 seconds. That is, unless you're in the true arena, where suddenly, Stardream manages to inhale Kirby, leading to a battle with the machine's core. Phase 1 basically being a recreation of Nova's heart from Superstar. Like I said, true arena is a pain in the butt. Throwing in a surprise final boss doesn't help things. It even does a final shockwave attack after you defeat it. And boy, if you're low on health and that takes you down, you're gonna be really mad. I would know cause it happened to me. After the main battle, the Robobot Armor somehow removes Kirby from itself and sends him back to Popstar, but not before shedding a tear at losing its master. Okay, don't know how that's a thing. Popstar has been freed of its mechanization, Meta Knight and Dedede are safe once again, Susie flies off back into space, and Kirby happily chases after the halberd, ending Kirby Planet Robobot. And oh man, the credits for Meta Nightmare even have these cute little sprites straight out of Kirby Superstar. The fan service never ends! But one last thing, if you thought that Sectonia had a messed up backstory, well, it turns out that President Haltman had a daughter named Susanna. They worked together to reactivate Stardream. However, an undisclosed accident caused Susanna to vanish into another dimension, and at that point, Haltman just figured that she was dead. And by constantly using the Stardream helmet, it slowly messed with his memories. So when Susie showed up, he recognized her, but he didn't realize that she was his daughter. Not only does that add a little bit of impact to Susie wanting to get rid of Stardream, but Haltman also wanted to use Stardream to bring Susanna back to life with its wish-granting capabilities. However, all of his work provided no results because in fact, she was never dead. Oh, you know, Kirby! For kids. Man, I can't believe this nerd talked about a single Kirby game for over 20 minutes. Once again, don't act surprised. But yeah, there was a lot to talk about with this one, more so than you probably initially thought. Now, all of my nostalgia will forever have me say that Adventure is my favorite in the series. There are just far too many memories here. However, when it comes to the best game in the series, Planet Robobot has that down easily. And initially, I thought otherwise, with the Robobot having so much screen time over Kirby proper. But man, it really doesn't matter, it is still a ton of fun, and combined with the overwhelming fan service, ultimately this is a Kirby dream game through and through. And with that, I have now covered every single mainline Kirby game in the franchise, and it honestly feels kinda good to do so. That being said though, we are not done with the marathon quite yet. Stay tuned because next time, I'm gonna start taking a look at Kirby spin-offs. There's like 10 of them, and I'm gonna get most of them done in a single video. Oh boy. Row, row, fight the power.